For our next two sets of speakers, we're actually going to hear directly from business about what they're doing and why. So first, I'd like to welcome up Danielle, Azoulay, and Jay Harf from L'Oreal. And while they're taking their seat, I'll tell you a little bit about them. So Jay is the Vice President of Environment, Health, Safety, and Sustainability, HSNS, for L'Oreal Operations, and he manages and provides the leadership for all EHS&S systems for L'Oreal Americas Zone, which is comprised of 3 different geographic divisions: North America, South America, and Central America. And as a leader in this area, he establishes the vision, the direction, he ensures employee wellness and safety, and he drives continuous improvement in their EHS&S performance indicators. And then there's Danielle. Danielle is the head of corporate social responsibility and sustainability for L'Oreal USA. And as part of her role, she oversees the implementation of L'Oreal's global sustainability program, Sharing Beauty for All, which addresses the environmental and social impacts across L'Oreal's value chain. Danielle has developed and executed sustainability strategies to reduce supply chain impacts, drive positive change upstream, create business value. And they're going to share with us a few details today of a new project that they're announcing and that they're moving forward on. Great. Danielle, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi. We're really excited to be here today to share an exciting new project we're launching. Our story today is going to take us all the way to Ashland, Kentucky. But I want to start here at our cosmetics plant in Little Rock, Arkansas. This is a plant where 6 out of 10 mascaras that are sold in the country are made. It's also the plant where last year we finished the 3rd largest commercial solar array in the state. And while that's an impressive project in its own right, what really inspires me about this project is the 400 employees who were super supportive and helped us drive this program and all of our sustainability programs in the factories. At this particular factory, we ended up doing a dedication for every one of the employees who work there. They received their own solar stanchion dedication, and everyone from line worker to plant manager was a part of this project. After all, they're really the backbone of the success of our sustainability program, and so we count on them every day to help us drive this work forward. I'm happy to be here today with Jay Harf. Sorry, I don't mean to make you blush, Jay. As Janet said, Jay is our Vice President of Environmental Health and Safety for L'Oreal Americas. And along with Philippe Lamotte, who is actually also here today on our purchasing team, they came up with a very creative and innovative solution to a major sustainability hurdle that we were facing. And that's the project we want to talk to you about today. But before we do, I realize you're probably more accustomed to seeing us on the red carpet than at climate conferences. So I want to take a minute and introduce you to L'Oreal. We are the #1 beauty company in the world. We're also the #1 beauty company in the USA. We employ over 11,000 people in 14 states. In 2016, we did over $6 billion worth of revenue just in the US and manufactured over 1 billion units in our plants in the US. And what strikes me when I see these statistics is the enormous scale of our business and the incredible opportunity that we have to make a positive impact on the world. This is our large portfolio of brands. We have over 30 iconic brands, from Garnier to Maybelline to Kiehl's and all of these other ones that you are able to see. We are sold everywhere from Walmart to Bloomingdale's to your local dermatologist's office. I see some people looking at this list and realizing for the first time they're wearing L'Oreal products, so thank you for your business. And this is how we got here. This is our global sustainability strategy. It's called Sharing Beauty with All, and it addresses our business impacts everywhere, from raw material cultivation through end-of-life product disposal. Today, since we're talking about renewable energy, our renewable energy project, let's focus on the relevant pillar, producing sustainably, where our goal by 2020 is to reduce our CO2, water, and waste footprint by 60%. We've been doing this work for over a decade. Last year was a marquee year for us in terms of recognition. We were one of 2 companies in the world to be given a AAA rating by CDP. We were named #1 green company in the world by Newsweek. We were the EPA Green Power Partner of the Year. And stay tuned, because in April, our Better Plants Swap Challenge will be launched, where we were partnered with General Motors to make renewable energy improvements in our factories. Before we go on. But we look at all of these recognitions, and we're so proud to have been receiving them. But we have a philosophy that sustainability is a journey of continuous improvement within L'Oreal. So no matter where we are in the journey, we're always looking for opportunities to push farther and do more. As our Chief Sustainability Officer, Alexandra Palt, says, sustainability isn't just something we do, it's who we want to be. And with that, the reason we're here today is the first time we're announcing publicly, we're really excited about this new project that we're launching. L'Oreal USA Operations, that's 21 manufacturing facilities across 12 states. It's over 7 million square feet of space, will be carbon neutral by 2019. And with that, thanks. And I'm going to hand it over to Jay Harf, who's one of the architects of this project, to take us through it.
Thank you, Danielle. No pressure there. I've never been called an architect before, but I am today. Good morning, Climate Leadership Conference. Let's try that again. I need a little more energy before I get going here. Good morning, Climate Leadership Conference 2018. All right. It is a thrill and honor for us to be here today. I'm going to take you through an 18-month journey that we're only in the middle of right now. So come back with me to October of 2016. We had achieved a lot in October. We were ready to move into 2017 with a portfolio of 2 new solar energy projects in Arkansas and Kentucky. We knew we were going to hit our 100% renewable electricity goal. We also knew we were going to add on 45 miles of total solar panels in our network. Solar's been very good to us at L'Oreal. Proven technology, and we love it. And we had an 84% reduction going into the year. We knew we were going to achieve that into 2017. So 2017, at the end of the year, you're the EH&S guy and your team's feeling pretty confident, pretty tough, like we're going to go in, we're going to talk about this the rest of 2017. And then we had a meeting with our senior executives, and they sat down with us and they challenged us to do more, even in spite of that. So we were going to do more, and we're going to achieve something that we really had a passion to achieve, and that's why we're here today. I just want to talk to you about that right now. This is where we were at, and I'm going to speak to you about operations in L'Oreal USA and our carbon footprint, only Scope 1 and 2 emissions. We'd eliminated our Scope 2 emissions, but the big nut to crack, this 16%, we really, really wanted to solve for that. That was what we were going to tackle. And the mindset we had was there's no boundaries. You are challenged not to have boundaries. I know it's a little cliche, if you had all the money in the world, what would the solution be? And we've all said that, and quite honestly, we don't have all the money in the world, so let's be clear about that. But it was a mindset to be agile and to really think and not be limited by parameters of the outside world and the inside world, really. So that was our approach. How are we going to solve for our Scope 1 emissions? Here was the frame of how we had to make our decisions, okay? This is what we had to live by to live up to our reputation, our expectations for a renewable energy project. 1, we weren't going to rely solely on carbon offsets. We were going to make a renewable energy investment. We didn't know what that was, but we were going to do that. The approach had to be local, and it had to have a positive impact in the communities in which we work. It had to achieve some form of additionality, meaning our involvement in the project was going to make it go, and it had to be financially viable. All right? Makes somewhat sense in the business world, but that's what we were living by. And this is where we started, folks. If you know where Florence, Kentucky's at, it's right on the other side of the river, next to the airport in Cincinnati. And this is our largest facility with regards to square footage. All right, we make our iconic brands of Garnier Fructis, Whole Blends, Soft Sheen Carson, and a few others here. It's our largest plant. We make a lot of units here. We also are a proud employer in the state of Kentucky. Between our distribution center and our manufacturing location, we employ over 400 people. And we've been operating there for 25 years. It's also our largest carbon footprint plant. So we're going to start there. And we're going to be bold, and we're going to solve for this site carbon neutrality, and that's what we're going to go after, right? We got to get rid of all of our Scope 1 emissions in Florence. That doesn't sound easy when you think about it 16, 18 months ago. And this is what we came up with, and this is our plan that I'm about to share with you right now. And we really feel it has a positive impact in the community in which we're working, but it didn't stop in Florence. And here was the thought process we had for the options we were going to take in our solutions process. We started with an anaerobic digester, that idea. And quite honestly, it was an intimidating idea, because as we were going through these three options I was going to present, we were kicking it up a notch that we just didn't want carbon neutrality at Florence, Kentucky. We wanted it for all 21 of our locations. And our bosses and our leadership team agreed that we wanted to do it in advance of our 2020 goals. In advance. So we started with the anaerobic digester. Boom, we're going to solve that. We're going to build it. We're going to put it right in Florence, Kentucky. We're going to put it right next to our plant. We're going to have the feedstock. We're going to have the expertise, we're going to have the manpower, we're going to have the understanding, and we're going to have no risk, and we're not going to blow ourselves up with a digester, right? Remember, I'm a part safety guy here. That intimidated us. Where are we going to put it? How are we going to run it? We are not the experts here. You know, we were strong with solar, we had a lot of help, but this was a significant investment, and it's a technology that's awesome. I am not taking apart an anaerobic digester. It just wasn't working for us. I think it's a great technology. We use it over in Belgium at one of our plants in Europe. Then we came back to carbon offsetting. Let's just go back to the team and we'll give them a little pushback. We're just going to buy some carbon offsets, right? Makes sense? What do you think the reaction was there? No. Okay, so that's out. And then it brought us to this idea. Renewable natural gas, landfill gas, and that technology. And that actually is what we went with. That's what we're working on, and that's the proud project that you'll see as of an hour ago was announced by L'Oreal USA. We are going to purchase renewable natural gas from a landfill in Kentucky that's 135 miles southeast of our factory. That was our solution. We are going to solve for our Scope 1 emissions in Florence, Kentucky. And we sat around the table in this story, and everybody looked at us and said, yeah, that's great. But you got another 20 locations you got to solve for. Okay, so we went back to the drawing board with our partners, and what'd they tell us? They told us there's enough renewable natural gas at this landfill to use towards our Scope 1 emissions at all 21 of our locations. L'Oreal will actually purchase on a 15-year agreement renewable natural gas starting at the end of this year for all 21 of our operations locations to solve for our Scope 1 emissions. And you're going to say, well, how are you going to do that? Well, what we're going to do with this 40% gas is we're going to inject it into the national grid, the U.S. pipeline, an additional fuels project according to the EPA, and that's how we're going to work towards our carbon neutrality by the end of next year. So we like this approach. We like it a lot because it's a single solution for us. We're trying to do our part. That's all we're trying to do in the fight on climate change. We've come up with an alternative for us that makes it financially viable. In the first 5 years of this project, we will sell our environmental attributes into the transportation fuels market to support the renewable fuel standard to break even on our project. In that time period, we'll also purchase carbon offsets because it's attached to a 15-year project. That is how we're going to use carbon offsets in our scheme here, in our project. And quite honestly, folks, as you sit back and you look at this source of energy, this underutilized source of energy, I don't know if you know the statistics. I've kind of been reading up on them lately, and it's pretty amazing. There's 10,000 landfills in the United States. 10,000. There's an additional 3,000 that are still taking waste today, and there's less than 1,000 renewable natural gas projects online. So we like this approach, and then we think we can help contribute to this approach to solve for our Scope 1 emissions. And we're happy to share how we're doing that, how we're modeling that, and to be a part of that with anyone, because for us, sustainability is not a competitive advantage. We will work with anybody on this project to support this group, support our competitors, and support industry. So with that, I just want to say thank you for having us here today. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here amongst friends and family, if you will. So thank you.
So pretty cool. I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions, and then if we have time, we'll turn it over to the audience.
Great.
But since the moderator, I get to ask the first ones. So you got operations in 7 states.
12 states.
12 states. How'd you pick Kentucky? Are you trying to make a political statement? What's going on with that?
I'll start there. We are not trying to make a political statement at all. We have 400 employees in the state of Kentucky. We've been there for 25 years. It's an iconic plant for us. We love that plant. We love the state of Kentucky, and we're going to continue to invest in the state of Kentucky.
It's really our biggest plant in the world. So for us, being able to find a solution in our own backyard that it is local and benefits the community of Kentucky, it was a win-win for us.
When you think of a beauty company, I don't think landfills is the first thing that comes to my mind.
Right.
So was it hard to get people's heads around this idea of a landfill gas project?
Well, it wasn't easy, was it, Jay?
Let me start for when you go to Paris and you say what you're going to do to solve for Scope 1 emissions, and you say you're going to use biogas. And they love it. They cheer you on. Everything's great. And then you say it's not going to come from a digester. It's going to come from a landfill. And you can hear the record scratch a little bit, come to a complete stop until we talked about the source of energy that we're sitting on, this waste that we can use to energy and use towards something good, and the fact that there's an iconic infrastructure in place to support that with the U.S. pipeline. Once you start working through that and understanding that there's an energy we can harness and we're not really attached to the landfill per se, we're just purchasing a commodity just like we do electricity in other markets. So it was a little difficult at first, but fully on board why we're here today.
Yeah, it took us 18 months of extensive research to come up with this project. And it was a truly transversal project. It was like all hands on deck in L'Oreal USA. It was operations, purchasing, corporate communication, I mean, you name it. And we really had to go through that process of educating people about this underutilized resource. And once we did, of course, the solution speaks for itself.
So you put up a list of how you progressed. If you were going to tell another company in this room that hey, this might be something you want to think about, what advice would you give? Would you say, hey, look at how we progressed, or would you give them different advice?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, every company looks a little bit different. And so what we hope is that this is a model that companies can use or look to really think outside of the box. I mean, especially with the way it's working for us, it really was a creative solution. And we just hope that companies will push forward and try and solve for this Scope 1 problem.
And I'm pretty sure you said this project was financially viable.
Yes, it is.
Pretty sure you said that. So let's take a few questions from the audience. I can't see very well out there, but does anybody have a question for these guys? Right there in the front here. First hand that went up.
Oh, we can see our faces now.
I know. What happened? It kind of
What a
got better,
pretty
didn't
crowd.
Congratulations on your achievements, first of all. So how you make landfill gas competitive with the gas so cheap right now, honestly?
Yeah, that's
How do you make it happen? And the second question, you didn't talk about your Scope 3, but it's probably the largest footprint of most companies. If you can share a little bit on that too?
Sure. You want to go?
Yep, I'll start. With regards, we like this project because it provides us options in the future to buy more gas, including to solve for our Scope 3 emissions, using it towards transportation of our fleet, using it towards our retail and administrative sites. So we like that option. And we've had an 18% reduction in our Scope 3 emissions right now, and that is the next evolution for us in the carbon war, if you will. Hopefully that answers the second part of your question. The first part of your question is, we are hoping to break even on this project in the renewable fuel standard market. So the price of gas is high, and because of the way you process biogas, there's high production costs. It's much higher than natural gas right now. And we just hope in the first part of this project for us, we will break even, and there's significant risk to us. And the way our management team is these days with agility and risk-taking and how we're trying to accomplish what we need to accomplish on the operations side, that was a risk that our CEO backed us on taking.
Very cool. There's another question. I think, Melanie, is that you? Yeah.
I'm Melanie Dickersbach from Exelon. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the what it takes, that processing of the landfill gas to have it be like a quality that can be injected, and that was a technology I know that everybody was sort of waiting to develop, so I was just curious how you kind of cracked that nut and got to where it was able to be injected into the pipeline consistently.
You want to take it?
So I'll start there. For us, that's really with our partner. We are strictly buying the biogas, so I don't want to step too much into the technology that they're planning to use at the plant. I do know it's a membrane technology for the gas to remove all the impurities and to take everything out of it to make it pipeline upgradable and inject into the grid. It's probably a more appropriate question for our partner. I don't want to step on them with what they're accomplishing, but membrane technology primarily.
We're running a little short, so we're going to take one more question, and we'll go all the way to the back.
Oh, I think the mic is over there.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So just one more question. Sorry, we only have enough time for one.
Sorry, Emily Wasley with Cadmus. This is incredible. Like, congratulations on this project. I'm wondering if you've conducted a vulnerability assessment on the plant in Kentucky or on any of your other facilities to make sure that you're also enhancing resilience as well as sustainability.
What was the second? Can you repeat the second part of your question there?
Oh, just if you've conducted a vulnerability assessment to enhance your resilience to climate impacts.
In extreme weather events.
Yeah.
No.
Could be the next step.
Yeah, it's probably the next step for us. We have not. We are fearful. We are being impacted as the EH&S guy. It's a VUCA world, as you know, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. We have 26 new acquisitions since 2005. We have 10 since 2010. We see the climate change happening not as much to our U.S. facilities right now. We see the extreme weather. We are dealing, last week I dealt with my second earthquake in 4 months in Mexico City. We know there's severe weather coming. We are scared of it. We're preparing crisis-wise and backup-wise with our plans, but we haven't conducted a vulnerability assessment.
But certainly climate change impacts our business. You know, this fall was particularly active, and our stores and offices in Florida and Puerto Rico, I mean, our Puerto Rican office was particularly hit hard. And so it's a point definitely noted and something that we need to act on. So thanks.
So I am just going to say I really look forward to hearing how this develops. And I want you guys to join with me in thanking Danielle and Jay for introducing us to their new project.
Thank you.
Thanks.